The film begins in Los Angeles, 1992, with Mercer receiving a call from Child Protective Services. He has taken conditional custody of his son, Antoan. As Mercer goes to wake Antoan for school, we are introduced to Rigin, who meets his friend Copeland to discuss one last heist. Rigin hopes this final score will allow him to leave his life of crime behind and find peace. At Mercer's home, Antoan refuses to eat the breakfast Mercer prepares. The radio broadcasts a major news story about Rodney King, a black man brutally beaten by white police officers, whose trial is now capturing nationwide attention, especially within the black community. Mercer attempts to connect with Antoan, but the boy demands answers about his father's long absence and his failure to attend his mother's funeral. Antoan's defiance escalates, leading Mercer to set a curfew for him, citing the increasing unrest sparked by the Rodney King case. Meanwhile, Rigin picks up his brother Dennis and takes him to their estranged father. Rigin shares a detailed plan for a heist involving $10 million worth of platinum stored in a factory. However, their father dismisses the plan, citing its risks and their lack of professionalism. Despite his father's disdain, Rigin remains determined to proceed, quietly tolerating his father's insults. Later, Mercer visits a grocery store and encounters rookie thugs harassing the Asian cashier. When Mercer intervenes, the thugs draw a gun on him. However, their leader, DeVille, arrives, reprimands them for their ignorance, and apologizes to Mercer, revealing his revered status in the community and his recent release from prison. This explains Mercer's absence during Antoan's childhood. Back on Rigin's side, he and Dennis scope out the factory with help from an inside source who provides blueprints of the safe. The safe is heavily secured, with an alarm that triggers a metal cage. Rigin's father remains skeptical, further straining their relationship. At the factory, Mercer discusses the Rodney King trial with the head of security, Joseph, noting the tensions brewing in the city. As the day unfolds, Dennis consoles Rigin after their father's rejection. That evening, the jury delivers a not guilty verdict for the officers involved in Rodney King's beating, sparking violent protests across Los Angeles. Antoan observes the riots near their home and sees looters targeting a liquor store. Meanwhile, Rigin seizes the opportunity, reasoning that the police will be too occupied with the riots to respond to their heist. He gathers his crew, including Copeland, who reluctantly leaves his pregnant wife behind. At the factory, Mercer convinces Joseph to let him bring Antoan inside for safety, citing the dangers in their neighborhood. Joseph agrees, and Mercer heads home to retrieve his son, only to find the house empty. Antoan is outside, captivated by the chaos. Mercer forcibly brings him to the factory for protection. Rigin and his team launch their heist, neutralizing the outside guard and driving their van into the loading dock. Inside, they encounter Joseph, who refuses to back down. Rigin attempts to de-escalate, but his father's thugs shoot Joseph, shocking Rigin and Dennis. The group proceeds to the safe, cutting phone lines and disabling surveillance. Joseph, critically wounded, manages to trigger the alarm, causing the metal cage to descend over the safe. Rigin uses a forklift to stop the cage, but in the process, Copeland's leg is crushed. Rigin's father refuses to help, prioritizing the platinum over Copeland's safety. This selfish act deepens the rift between Rigin and his father. Meanwhile, Mercer and Antoan drive through the riots, witnessing both the destruction and its human cost. Mercer saves a white couple from being attacked by rioters, emphasizing to Antoan that violence only perpetuates the cycle of injustice. Back at the factory, the heist intensifies. The group uses explosives to breach the safe, drawing the attention of a patrolling helicopter, which eventually leaves after finding no immediate threat. Mercer arrives at the factory and discovers the security guard missing. He arms himself and navigates the building, confronting and incapacitating one of the thugs. In a tense confrontation, Mercer rescues Rigin, who reveals the extent of his father's ruthlessness. The situation escalates as Rigin's father uses Antoan, bait, to regain control of the heist. Merca and Rigin join forces, setting up a final standoff in the loading dock. In the chaotic climax, Merca and Antoan manage to escape with the platinum, but the pursuit leads to a devastating crash. Rigin's father, driven by greed and regret, kills his son in a moment of twisted remorse. As he turns his attention to Merca, Antoan shoots him in a desperate act of courage, saving his father. The film ends with Merca and Antoan embracing amidst the wreckage, leaving behind the platinum, as they drive away, finally united as father and son.